I'm here with chapter 13 on this lovely Holy Thursday of Easter week, and today we're going to talk about individuate, intrastate or interstate. Let's see what it says. Right, let's go. Of course, this is from my book, Four Views of I, and well, I'll just get into it. Individuate, intrastate or interstate. We have, boy, let's try this again. What have we discussed so far? We moved past the trilogy of body, mind, and spirit, adding another dimension, time. I have assigned one word to each of the aspects of our individuality to represent body, mind, soul, and spirit. Instinct, intellect, intuition, and intention. Remember, the tetrahedron is the first platonic solid, a shape with four sides. This shape represents the basic building block of our dimension. The photon is in this shape. Let there be light. On the Hawaiian island of Oahu, there is a wonderful interstate highway. If that doesn't make you pause, you may not realize that an interstate highway is one that goes to another state. Technically, the term for a highway is intrastate because it's contained within the state. In fact, it doesn't go to another island within the state of Hawaii. Yet, I understand that it had to be called that to receive federal funding, and perhaps because it goes to a seaport and an airport, it may be considered an interstate for commerce. But since those are both good I words, let's apply them here. Let's apply them to the I. Let's call it intrastate when you are working within the four I's, and interstate when you work with two or more of the four I's at the same time. The one is I am that I am, infinite, all perception. Change is growth, curve is change, everything is different. That is the point. Everyone must change to grow. Frog in the kettle. The frog in the kettle analogy usually used as a warning against change. As the story goes, because frogs are not warm-blooded, their body temperature is dependent on the ambient temperature. If you put them in a kettle of hot water, they will jump right out. But if you put them in a kettle and then warm the water slowly, they will not notice and jump out when it gets too hot. They will simply perish in the frog stew. The analogy is change. The analogy is change can happen slowly, and you will tolerate and acclimate to it. If enough small disagreements occur over time, large change can occur, eventually eliminating your original destiny and purpose. How Aesop ruined my life. The Greek historian Herodotus mentioned in passing that Aesop, the fable writer, was a slave who lived in ancient Greece during the 5th century BCE. Do you realize how many stories are attributed to Aesop? Stories with morals, that is what they are. There are over 600 of these fables said to originate from this slave storyteller. That seems a bit much, but there's a lot of material to choose from. One that comes to mind is about the ant and the grasshopper. This one had a big impact on me and my work ethic. I wonder how many of his fables truly impacted my life. This rumination of ruination is mostly intriguing. The gist of my ruination is summed up in the race of the tortoise and the hare. Working to emulate the tortoise made me slow and methodical. Any speed increase I attributed to the hare, who was not to be emulated. Of course, it was my skewed interpretation that was the actual cause of my ruination. Let's look at the story to refresh our minds. The hare was once boasting of his speed before the other animals. "I have never yet been beaten," said he. "When I put forth my full speed, I challenge anyone to race with me." The tortoise said quietly, "I accept your challenge." "That's a good joke," said the hare. "I could dance round you all the way." "Keep your boasting till you've beaten me," answered the tortoise. "Shall we race?" So a course was fixed and a start was made. The hare darted almost out of sight at once, but soon stopped and, to show his contempt for the tortoise, lay down to have a nap. The tortoise plodded on, and when the hare awoke from his nap, he saw the tortoise just near the winning post and could not run up in time to save the race. Then said the tortoise, "Plodding wins the race." What does this story from Aesop have to do with anything? Well, slow and steady wins the race was my mantra. It is who I am is a meme planted deeply within me. It has steered my life, and I'm not happy about it. I must point out that I cannot blame Aesop for my choices. I am responsible for everything I believe and do. In spin class, the saying was altered to strong and steady wins the race. That works better for me now. But we were talking about a frog in a kettle. Feedback loop. Continuous feedback of introspection and interaction discussion will help correct any drift and correct an origin fallacy if needed. My argument has always been to constantly question everything in case you have been following a false premise. Our daily use of GPS is a wonderful example. The GPS constantly updates your known position in relation to your destination. The newer guidance system will include data of current traffic and readjust to provide the quickest route. You can set up the system to avoid toll roads and freeways if you prefer. You can use the system to provide walking routes, public transportation routes, and so on. But in order for the system to work, you must be in constant contact with the satellites. If you don't have feedback from at least 2 of the satellites, there is no way of knowing where you are. The system will fail. Having more than 2 satellites provides better accuracy. Triangulation and error correction are constantly updated. This is the same with your daily growth. If you are not connected, you are lost. If you are only connected to one source, you are lost. Connect through all 4 aspects that make you you. Introspection and interaction are tools to begin with, and when we go through introspection, we must ask if we are looking at ourselves as we truly are or as we present ourselves. Growing up, my mother planted deep meme by continually repeating a quote, "Oh, the gift that God would give us to see ourselves as others see us." Through her instilling this, I became aware that my looks, actions, words, and so on are all a reflection of who I am. People judge, so be careful. Here's the problem with that. It causes us to build a facade to show the world. We all wear masks. Looking in a mirror only shows the mask. So decades of putting together this brick facade, all in all, it's just another brick, have made us whitewashed sepulchres, as Jesus put it. Nice and pretty on the outside, but dead and rotten on the inside. It is well said that we must begin by dealing with the man in the mirror. But again, we must make sure that we are not looking at a reflection of our facade. We need to get behind the curtain. The Land of Oz. How can we see behind the curtain? True introspection must get behind the facade. We need Toto to pull back the curtain. Yes, introspection must be done by the individual, but sometimes we need a little help to know where the curtain is, and the rest of life distracts bigly. We truly must find a way to get behind the scenes. Who is your Toto? Pay attention to the man behind the curtain, that charlatan. Funny, mentioning this analogy from Oz, I realize the 4 aspects of an individual are reflected in the Wizard of Oz by the 4 yellow brick sojourners. Instinct, the cowardly lion, courage. Intellect, scarecrow, brain. Intuition, Tin Man, heart. And intention, Dorothy, home. These 4 needed to work together with the man behind the curtain to find what they were missing. They needed some outside help to know he was there. It's okay to ask the wizard for help. Just remember to find the real person behind the curtain. Each view of yourself is just a portion of the integrated whole. You have all 4 aspects. Know and work on each one. And that's it. We have one more chapter to read, and I may do that tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening, and that's all I've got to say about that. So, bye.